Hello everyone, I hope you're well and welcome back to my channel. This is Donlarrie. Today's tutorial shall be the making of this beautiful jacket with lapel. We're going to be cutting directly on the fabric. If you're yet to subscribe to my channel, guys, kindly do so, and also remember to put on your notification bell so you get notified anytime I upload a new video. So guys, let's get started. So to get started, we're going to be starting with the back. And the first thing is to fold the fabric into two. So as you can see, I've folded this fabric into two already. And what will be the guide for you on what to fold is the largest measurement you have. So if the bust is the largest measurement, that is what you will use. If the hip is the largest measurement, that is what you will use. So in my own case, the hip is the largest measurement, and I have hip of 46 inches with the measurement I'm working with. So that 46 inches or whatever you have, you will divide it by 4. So dividing 46 inches by 4, I have 11.5 inches. So from the edge of your fabric here, so you will measure whatever you have. So I have 11.5 inches. So as you can see, 11.5 inches from the edge of the fabric will be around here. And then I want to add ease allowance and extra allowance to it. So I'll be adding 2.5 inches ease and extra allowance to it. So which means I will have 14 inches in total. So from the edge of the fabric to here is 14 inches. And then I will fold it like this. So that will be the guide for you. So once you folded your fabric into two, then you come to one edge, which will be our starting point, and then you're going to roll out an horizontal line just like I've done here, because we are working directly on the fabric, so we don't want to be short of the fabric. So once you've marked this horizontal line, which will be the top line or the shoulder line, the first thing is to input your desired jacket length. So the jacket length I'm working with is 36 inches. So from here now, as you can see it, down I mark 36 inches, and then you will also rule out the line. So now we have our jacket length from here to here. So having done that, the next thing you want to mark is your bust line. So the bust line is 11 inches. So I'll just mark 11 inches like this. The waistline is 16.5 inches, which is here. And then the hip line is 24 inches, which is here. So now that I've marked all this line, I will just roll it out. So I hope you can see what I've drawn out. So this is the bust line, this is the waistline, this is the hip line, and this is the length of the jacket. So this folded part will be the center back. So once you've done this, then the next thing we want to do is to create the neckline. So to create the neckline, you first input your shoulder measurement. So the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 8 inches. So I will just mark 8 inches here. And then I will use the neck width of 4 inches. So for the back neck depth, I will use 1 inch. Then from here to here, I will draw a curved line to create the neckline. So once you've done that, then we want to create the shoulder slope. So for the shoulder slope, you come to this shoulder measurement, you mark down 1 inch, and then we're going to be connecting this to the neckline. So like that. And then we want to create the armhole. So the armhole depth that I'm working with is 9 inches. So I'm just marking 9 inches like this. And then you draw a line like that. So to create the back armhole curve, you will define the middle point of this armhole depth. So this is the middle point. So from this middle point, I will draw a curved line down to this point. So can you see that? So now that we have done this, so we're going to be placing the waist dart in order to give this jacket a feminine look. So to place the waist dart for the back, so you divide your nipple to nipple measurements, you divide it by 2. So, and because we are working directly on the fabric, whatever you get, you will add half an inch to it. So I will mark 4.5 inches instead of 4 inches. I'm going to mark 4.5 inches like this. Then I will also come to the hip line and mark the same 4.5 inches. Then I will draw a line to connect these 2 points. So like this. So because this is the back pattern, I will mark 1 inch above the bust point. So that is where the dart will stop for the back. So I will just extend the line to that point, and then I will place my 1 inch dart intake. So which means half an inch at both sides. Then I will connect that to this point. So on the hip line, from the hip line you mark 2 inches up, and then you connect this to this like this. As simple as that. So now we've placed the back dart. Then we want to input our measurement now in order to create the side seam. So to do that, you come to the upper chest line. Know that this is the upper chest line, which is the same line as this under the arm line. So I will place my tape measure on that line. Can you see that? And then I will input my bust measurement divided by 4. So the bust measurement I'm working with divided by 4 is 10.25 inch. Then I want to add east allowance to this jacket. So I will add east allowance of 0.5 inch. That means I'm going to mark 10.75 inch. Then I will now add seam allowance. Seam allowance is different from the east allowance I added. So I added east allowance of 0.5. Then I'm going to add seam allowance of 1.5 inch now. So can you see that? So this is the actual measurement, this is the east allowance, and this is the seam allowance. So I will come to the waistline, input the waist measurement divided by 4. So the waist measurement I'm working with divided by 4 is 9.25 inch. So I will mark 9.25 inch. Remember we use 1 inch for our dart intake. I will mark that. Then I will now add east allowance of 0.5, and I will add 1.5 inch seam allowance like this. Can you see that? Then you come to the hip, divide the hip measurement by 4. So the hip measurement I'm working with divided by 4 is 11.5 inches. So I will mark 11.5 inches, east allowance of half inch, and then 1.5 inch seam allowance. So can you see that? And then we're going to connect this point to this point and to this point in order to create the side seam. And from the hip line, we're just going to mark it straight down to the hem line. So can you see what we have for the back? So before we cut it out now, we're going to be adding our half an inch seam allowance to the neckline, because we're going to be turning this with lining. So you add your half an inch to the neckline, to the shoulder, and then to the armhole cuff. So just like this. So can you see that? So to the hem line now, we're going to be adding seam allowance to the hem line. So depending on the allowance you want to add, you can add up to 3, 4 or 5 inches depending on the allowance you want to add. So I will just add the allowance of 2 inches to the hem line. You can even add 1 inch. Can you see that? Like this. Then we're going to be cutting this out. So guys, I've cut out the back. As you can see, this is what we have. So we go ahead now and cut the front. So now we want to cut the front, and to cut the front we're going to be using the back. The difference between the front and the back is that we're going to be cutting the front open, and then the neckline will be different, and the armhole, the side seam is the same thing. So what I've done here is that I've folded this fabric into 2. Another fabric, I folded it into 2, and then I placed the back on it. So at the center back, which is here, I've drawn a line which will be our center front line, as you can see it here, and then I've placed the back on it. So I have extra inches from that center front line. So I have 2.5 inches. So you will need extra inches for the lapel. So once you have the extra inches, then we go ahead now and cut out what we have on the back. So we first of all use the back to cut out the front, the side, and the hem line. Then we start working on the front. So I've used the back pattern to cut out the front. As you can see, we have the same side seam, the same length, and then the armhole, we're going to be making that little adjustment on the armhole later. So, and this is the neck area. So for the neck area, from your back neckline, you will mark down 1.5 inches like this. So once you've marked down 1.5 inches, then from the neck width, which is here, so I will just draw a curved line from here down to this 1.5 inches. So can you see that? Then I will cut it out. So once you've cut out the neckline, so we move on to the waistline. So on the waistline, you extend the waistline from the back, so like this. So this is the waistline on the front. So from this line now, I will mark 1/2 inch, and that 1/2 inch will be like a seam allowance. So I'll mark 1/2 inch from the center front on that line. Can you see that? Like this. And then from this 1/2 inch, I'm just going to draw a curved line from here through to this part of the neck. And then I will extend this seam allowance down to the hemline, because we're going to be turning this with a lining. So I will extend this 1/2 inch down to the hemline. So once we've done that, then we can take away the back. But before we take away the back, you will need to transfer all this horizontal line. So I'll just mark all the line on the front, because we need to place the dart for the front as well. So I'm just going to take this off. So you can take the back away, and then you transfer all the line, the bust line, the waistline, and the hip line to the front, and also the armhole line. So now we are going to be placing the dart. So to place the dart now, from your bust line, you input your nipple to nipple measurement plus 1/2 inch, because we are working directly on the fabric. So I'm marking 4.5 inches. I will do the same on the hip line. Then I will connect these two together like this. So from the hip line, I will go up by 2 inches. From the bust line, I will go down by 3/4 inch. Can you see that? And then I will place the dart of 1 inch, which means I'm having 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. Then I will connect all these points to create the dart. So can you see what we have? As simple as this. And then moving on to the armhole, our front armhole needs to be a bit narrower than the back, because at the front, our chest is narrower than what we have at the back. So you find the middle point, and from that middle point, you can mark 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, or up to 1 inch, depending on your measurement or your size. So here, from here now, I will mark 3/4 inch, which is here, and then I will draw a curved line. Remember that we've added seam allowance to this measurement from the back, so you don't need to be worried again. So I'm just going to mark it like this, and then curve it straight down to this part like this. Then I will cut this off, and also I will cut this off. So I've cut it out, and this is what the lapel will look like after sewing it. Can you see that? So now that we've cut it out, so we're going to be cutting out the lining. So after cutting out the fabric, the next thing you will do is to cut out your lining. So this is the back. As you can see, I've cut out the lining for the back, and if you notice that at the down part of the back, the lining is shorter than the fabric. So that is what you will do. So you make the lining shorter than the fabric. So by the time you join the two together, you can see the top part that we have the same thing. So at the down part, the lining is 3 inches. In my own case, it's 3 inches shorter than the fabric. So this is the hem line, the desired jacket length. So by the time we fold our fabric and the lining together, this is what you will have. So for the front, this is what we have for the front. As you can see it, we have a facing for the front because of the lapel. So you will use the same fabric or another fabric for the lapel as the facing. Remember that you cannot use your ordinary lining as the facing because of the lapel. So I'm using the same fabric. You can go ahead and use maybe a plain fabric for the facing, but I'm using this. And to cut out the facing, you can see the way I did my own. So make sure this edge is straight and this edge is straight. So this part is for the lining part and this part is for the fabric part. So this is what I have. And then for the down part, it is 3 inches, just like the back, shorter than what I have on the main fabric. And also for the sleeve, I've cut out the sleeve. If you are yet to watch my tutorial on how to draft your basic sleeve pattern, I'll put the link down in the description box so that you can watch that. So I cut the sleeve down to the elbow line, below the elbow line. So, and I've also cut out the lining for the sleeve. So I have 2 sleeves here. So let's move on to sewing it. So to start sewing, we're going to be starting with the front. So first of all, we need to join the facing and the lining together. So you will join it together, and after you might have joined it together, you go ahead and sew your darts. So you sew your darts, you can transfer the dart to the lining. So I will sew the dart separately on the fabric and I will sew the dart separately on the lining. So for the back also, I will sew the dart separately on the fabric and separately on the lining. So I will do that and I will show you what next. So I've sewn the dart. This is the back. So can you see the dart? And I've done the same for the lining. So the next thing you want to do is to start from the hem line. So you will place the lining the right side. You know, the lining now has the right side. So you will place it right side facing the right side of the fabric. And then we're going to sew. And then we're going to sew it at the hem line. So once you've done that, then you will need to move, you shift up the lining. After sewing it at the hem line, shift it up. Then you sew the neckline also. Then you can also go ahead and sew the side seam. So this is optional, and once you've done that, you will need to pull out everything from the shoulder area. So let me show you the front. Also for the front, you will first of all sew the hem line like this. Once you've sewn the hem line, you shift it up, sew the neckline, then you sew the lapel area, which is the center front. So you sew it down, and also you can sew the side. So you will be left with the armhole, and from there you will pull out everything. So I will go ahead and do that, and I will show you what next. So I've done it with the lining just like I explained earlier, and this is what we have. So once you've joined it at the hem line, you shift it up, turn it at the neckline, then at the lapel or the center front area, then you can also close it at the side. So this is what you will have. So this is one part of the front, and this is what the right side looks like. So this is the other part of the front. So this is the back. So we have just one piece for the back, and this is what the wrong side of the back looks like. So can you see that? Can you see the hem line? So the next thing we want to do now is to join the front and the back together at the shoulder slope. So you will need to turn it at the shoulder slope. So you place the right side of the two together like this, and then you pick one side, you turn it with the lining, and then the lining, the back lining, you will now use it to turn everything together. So this is the front, this is the back. Place it together like this, and then use this back lining to turn everything together. So like this. So you make sure you arrange it and make sure everything aligned together. Then we're going to sew it like this. So you do the same thing to the other side. So I will go ahead and do that. So I've joined it together at the shoulder, and this is what we have at the wrong side. This is what we have at the right side. So you now go ahead and join it together at the side using the measurement you are working with. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I will show you what next. So I've joined it at the side seam, as you can see it, and this is what we have. So this is what the inside looks like. So can you see the inside? So once you've done this, then you can go ahead and attach the sleeve to your jacket. So after attaching the sleeve, I will create a buttonhole, just one buttonhole to the waistline around here. Then I will attach the button to it. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I will show you guys the final look. This is the final look, guys. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave your comment in the comment section, share and subscribe to my channel if you're yet to do so. Till I see you guys in my next one, have a wonderful day. Bye.